We go. So, welcome everybody to today's session. I'm Diana Gray. I'm the Community Marketing Manager for UiPath America. And on the call today, we have a great team of speakers that are going to go through our second session with you. So, I'm trying to move to the next slide. There we go. So, just want you guys to know if you weren't here Monday that we do have some people who are working in the background to put these series on. So, Manjula and Ravathi come from the next innings. This series is actually a part of a bigger series that we're running throughout the year, and it's called Upskill to Agentic Automation. And so we have a couple of partners. We have Boundaryless, and we have the Next Innings and Centric Consulting as part of the series as well. So they work in the background, they help structure it, they come up with career days and other things that are part of the ongoing series, and they've been very instrumental in helping us. The other person we have on the call today is Anna Marie. She just became a UiPath employee as of last week, full time. So we're excited to have her as part of the team. Anna Marie does a lot around helping me set these series up. She also does a lot with the forum and contests that we have and all kinds of other things in the background. So we're really excited to have this team help set these events up for you guys. I just want to reiterate that this is a 4-week program. We're now on session number 2. So every week we have a session on Mondays and Wednesdays, and we're going to go through the 4 weeks. And then at the end of that, you're going to have an extra month to finish all your self-paced training. So when you look at the every single course description, you're going to see what homework is required. You can also just go to the learning link for the learning path, and on tab 2, you'll see all the requirements in order to get your training credential from this program. That is our goal, is to make sure that you get your training credential. So what we are doing in order to make that happen is we're listing out the assignments that you should be doing to follow us in the course. We're giving you an extra month to do the extra assignments. If you fall behind, don't worry, just try to catch up because you do have that extra time. And then what we'll also be doing is we've set up a forum where you can ask any questions that you have throughout the session or when you're doing your homework, or if you just want to meet and network with other people. It's a great tool that you guys have that you can share. And you can ask anything you want there. And then we will keep all the recordings. So every time I do a session, we're going to record it. It'll be available the next day with the presentations. So that's additional information that you can go back and listen again if you missed something or just weren't quite sure about it when our experts went through it on the calls. So I'm just going to go to the next slide. Just to reiterate, this is a very popular series with UiPath. It's really the foundation. It's the developer associate program. So this is going to teach you how to use Studio. It's really going to create that foundation for all things UiPath for you. And so we're really excited about it. It's also a great certification to get. Getting a voucher or a certification from this program is not part of this series. So I just want to be very clear on that. If you take this course in this series with us, what you are going to get from it is a training credential. That is not a certification, it's the training part of it. If you finish everything, all the self-paced training, and take the extra month and finish that, and you get your training credential, you can reach out to me and ask me if I can get you a voucher, and I will look at that. But it is not part of the series. So just want to make that very clear up front. This is a great certification to get, though, and I highly recommend it. So I hope you guys all do get your training credential, because then you'll have a reason to reach out to me and let me help you get certified. So the week 1, we went through session 1 on Monday, and now we're going to go through session 2. So today, they're going to introduce you to data manipulation in UiPath Studio. So today, our speakers are Preethi and Anmal, and Lagesh will be helping with the chat. So Preethi, Anmal, and Lagesh, do you want to introduce yourselves?
Sure.
Let's start with you, Anmol.
Okay. Hey everyone, I'm Anmol. I'm a technical consultant and architect with over close to 8 years of experience driving digital transformation and cloud adoption for enterprise and public sector clients. Very nice to meet you. I hope this session would be really helpful for you. I myself have been through the series and it would really help you get certified. In case you have any questions related to any week, please feel free to drop it in the chat and we'll make sure that we answer all your questions.
Thank you. Preeti, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Welcome you all to the series. And myself, Preeti, I have around 8 years of IT experience, and out of which 3.5 years in RPA UiPath. So I'm working at Boundaryless as an RPA developer. Thank you.
Thank you. And Lagesh?
Hi everyone. This is Logesh. I'm a technical architect at Cubotica, and I'm a UiPath MVP as well. I've been using UiPath for almost like 5+ years now, and I've been helping customers on adopting the platform and scaling as well. I'll be helping with the chat today, but if you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to me through chat or forum or through LinkedIn as well. Happy to help.
Great. Thanks so much. So as you guys can see, we have a great team supporting you. The prerequisites that were due before the class started this week are still required. So we want to make sure that you guys take the pre-training survey, the introduction to automation, and build your first automation in Studio. Hopefully you've all completed that. If not, don't worry. Just go ahead and do that, hopefully by the end of this week, and the start of next week, in addition to the other requirements. Okay. And so this is just the links to this. This will be part of the information that I post today on your assignments. And then one other thing is I'm going to put the important links in the chat. So the important links are the series page, which Anna Maria created. This is where you're going to see all the different courses that are available through the series, and you can register. You need to register for each course. And then the next day, what we'll do when the recording is available is we'll post the recording to that site. Again, the UiPath Community Forum is available. That's where you're going to ask any questions. If you're taking your training in the middle of the night, you don't know an answer to a question, just please go to the forum, post it, and somebody will get back to you. And we usually people are working 24/7, so you should get a response fairly quickly. And then again, there's another place that you can get the location where you can find the recordings is you want to join this chapter, you want to join the America chapter. So not only will you get information about this series, but all additional series that we have coming up. It's a great way just to keep involved with our community. We offer amazing programs through the system with many experts, both inside and outside of UiPath. And you can ask for any topics that you want us to cover as well. So we want you to get familiar with this so that we always are there to help you and support your learning needs. And then lastly, there's the UiPath Developer Associate Learning Path. This link is the learning path that you're going through. You're going to go to tab 2 on that page, and you'll see all the courses, and they're broken out by how many minutes it takes, how many hours it takes to finish that module. So that's what you're following as we go through this whole plan. And all of this information is on the course descriptions as well, but I'm going to put it in the chat today, along with some other information. So, as I turn this over to our team now, which I'm going to do, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I just want to suggest too that if you have questions, if you can hold them until somebody is done, unless it's really pertinent to what they're talking about just right then. But if you hold the questions till the end, that makes it a little bit easier to get through the material. If you can't wait, go ahead and ask it, but that should work really well. So, okay, so I'm going to turn it over to you guys.
Thank you, Naina.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hey everyone, welcome to the session 2 of Associate Developer Series. Today we would be talking about data manipulation with strings, collections, and data tables. We'll make sure that this session is very engaging and you get to know everything that is there to know about data manipulation. After the session, we would strongly recommend you that you go through the self-learning program as well and do all the items that are there, like the demo items, like practice it on your own as well. In case you have any question related to this session or the previous session that you had, please feel free to drop it in the chat. So this is what our agenda looks like today. We would be introducing you to the concept of data manipulation, why it's important. Then we would see that how it is done with strings, with lists and dictionaries, and with data tables. So first we have what is data manipulation, what is the need, and like kind of introducing the idea of data manipulation. So as the name suggests, data could be in like a lot of format. It could be structured, it could be unstructured. And we would always prefer that we don't just go ahead and consume the raw data or the unstructured data because they can come from various sources. As you can see here at the bottom, it could be emails, it could be social media data, it could be image files, it could be text files and documents. And for tackling or like kind of, comprehending all these different types of unstructured data, there are dedicated activities present in Studio that you can drag and drop and use to like structure your data or like format your data in a better format. So unprocessed data holds very little value because like there's too much of them and scattered, right? So what we need to do is that we need to ensure that data is structured and stored consistently. Once we process the data or like make it more consistent, that's when its value increases, and that is where we can work on that data. So it is difficult to extract meaningful insights from unstructured data, and that's the whole reason why data manipulation is ever in place. So it's like process of modifying the data. It could be like, cutting the noise from it or cutting the unnecessary elements from it, structuring it, formatting it. Now, formatting can be as simple as, changing it to uppercase or changing it to lowercase or like having proper punctuations in the data or like sorting the data. Say, for example, we sort it in ascending order or we sort it in descending order. And that way it's like very easier to read the data, use the data, and manage the data. So all in all, the concept is that data manipulation converts the raw data into structured and useful data. And that's when we can work on that data to do, better analysis, to organize and summarize. Say, for example, if we have a data of an entire class, right? Like 100 or 200 students, and we want to see who scored certain marks or like about population, right? So if we have sorted it in ascending or descending order, it's very easier to say that, okay, this chunk belongs to this group, and then we can easily count it. So the better the structure of the data is, the better it is to extract information from it. So unstructured form of data could be email, social media data. And when we process it, it could be a CSV in which data is stored in certain formats, or it could be an Excel where, we can put filters, we can use macros and all sorts of remove duplicates. All these are options that you already get in an Excel, and that helps you modify your data. Or it could be a database in which you're storing data in a particular table format, like there are rows, there are columns, and every table is containing data in a very structured format, like one table only for subjects, one table only for students, one table only for teachers, right? So that's how it is segregated so that it makes more sense. And that's like kind of introducing you to the idea of what is data manipulation, why is it important, and then how do we do it in UiPath. So moving on, the operations of data manipulation. So this slide introduces the 4 fundamental actions we perform when working with data in any automation or software workflow. So these are all very important concepts that you can, once you have got the hang of these important concepts, though they are basic, right? But they are very important building the foundation for you to solve any complex problems. So these operations allow us to manage, update, and organize data effectively. So first up, we have retrieving. So what does this mean? This refers to getting data out of a source. Now, it can be a database, it can be a file, or it can be a data table. So we usually apply filters or condition to extract the information that we need. Like we don't want the entire chunk of information, but only that we need. For example, selecting all the rows from the database where status is equal to approved. So we only get that data. So we are only retrieving the data that we need. Second up, we have add. Now, this includes inserting new data into a data structure, like introducing a new element into a list or introducing a new record into a database, adding a new transaction entry to a log file. So that's adding. Then we have deleting. This particular operation removes existing data from a structure. So deleting what is outdated or what is no longer needed. For example, removing duplicates entry from an Excel. Last but not the least, we have modifying. This means updating the existing data to reflect changes. So for example, changing the status of pending to completed after processing an item. You would also be introduced to a concept in UiPath, which is called queues. And that's when you'll be able to relate to like updating the status to new. When it is processing, we make it pending or we make it processing. When it is completed, we make it completed. So this means that we are modifying the status of the item. So these are the common operations for data manipulation, and it applies to all the data table, all the data structure that there is. Can be string, can be arrays, can be list, can be dictionaries, and then me and Preeti together will demonstrate a lot of it. Oops, sorry. Going back. So now let's talk about string manipulation. That's first upon the list. So these are few functions that are given that would help us understand that how do we manipulate strings. So I'm going to kind of explain what the function does, and then we'll also see it how to actually consume them or use them in UiPath Studio. And as I mentioned, data manipulation is both like changing the data as well as formatting the data. So changing the data is like the right portion of it, and formatting activities are given on the left. So first up, we have string.concat, which is concatenation, which is joining the strings. So we give variables, comma separated values. It can be just 2 values, or it can be 6 values, or it can be 10 values. What this particular function is going to do is it's going to concat or join all the strings together. Then we have var name.contains. So var name can be any variable name that you're defining in your studio. And then what we are checking is contains check that your variable contains the word text, which is written in double quotes. Now the output of this would always be a Boolean, which means it is going to check if it is there or no, and return you true or false based on if it's existing or no. Then var name.index of a. So what this is going to do, it is going to find a into your variable name and tell the index as in the position of a in your string. Okay. Who is speaking?
Yeah, can you guys please make sure you put yourself on mute? We're hearing some static on the background on the call, so please put yourself on mute. Thank you.
So index of is going to check the position of a into your string, right? And it is going to return a integer, like the position is 4 or the position is 5, right? But the index is always going to start from 0. It's not going to start from 1. It is going to start from 0. So the first character would always be at index 0. The last index of is going to just check the last. So if there are repeated A in your string, then it's going to check the position of last A that's in your string. So if you have 3 A's at, say, for example, position 2, position 4, and position 6. So it's going to return position 6 as the output. Now, next up, we have var name.replace. And as the name suggests, whatever you write here would be replaced by the second string. So if you're replacing, say, for example, ABC with DEF, so then there would be no ABC in the original string, whereas it would be replaced by DEF. Substring is going to cut your original string with start, index, and length, which means you will mention from where you want to trim your string and until what length, which means how many characters you want to trim, and it would trim your string and give you the output. Now string.format, again, this is the formatting portion of it, like how you want to like present your whole sentence. So when you write in curly braces 0, which means it is going to be replaced by whatever value var name 1 variable contains, and then 1 would be replaced by whatever value is there in var name 2. Split again is going to like cut your string, which means based on a delimiter. So for example, if I've given a hyphen here or a backslash here, so if there is any backslash in my string, it is just going to split the strings in two parts. And then on first, I'll have one part and two part, right? So 0 index and 1 index. So my whole string would be cut into two parts and it would be stored in like a list on an array. And then I can access the portion of the string that I want to. And join is going to concatenate everything with whatever delimiter I'm giving. Now, it could be a backslash, it could be a colon, it could be a hyphen. And formatting would actually be just formatting my text, which is adding or subtracting from a date, changing the case to uppercase or lowercase, and vice versa. Combining the text is going to do the same as concatenate. So you have both the options. Either you can write the functions and use it, or you can directly use an activity for it, right? Some people prefer one over the other, but it's up to your comfort if you want to drag and drop an activity or you want to write the functions. Extract date and time from text. And the names are like very well defined, like the name says what the activity would do. Extracting the text, finding and replace. So it would look for it and then replace it. So same as what var name.replace would do. If there is no word found, then it will not replace it. It would just leave the sentence as it is. Formatting the date as text, which is like kind of changing the format of it. So if something is in date format, which means data type, so it would change it to text. Splitting the text is going to do the same as the second last function, variable name.split. Now, some more string manipulations could be using a regular expression, which is like a little bit complex than just dragging and dropping, but you have activities for it. So it's not like you have to write everything from the scratch, but you have activities like find matching patterns or is text matching. And you can give patterns, like what patterns you want to recognize in your sentence. Then creation of regular expression is quite challenging, as I mentioned. But then there are also options in which, you can define it in NLP, which is in your natural language, and you can get your regular expression generated. It is used for input validation, parsing the data, and manipulation. It's again an activity to do data manipulation or to help you find certain patterns within your string. And RegEx Builder, which is this particular activity, it simplifies the creation of regular expression. So without the activity, if you have to write the regular expression on your own, it can be a little challenging. But when you're dragging and dropping the activity, it's fairly simple because you can use all these activities that is showing on the right-hand side. And then you can use all these activities to like kind of manipulate your data even in an advanced version. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and switch it to UiPath Studio. And then we will see some of it into demo. So I'm going to open UiPath Studio. Okay. So we'll start with just little basic manipulation. For example, so if you look here, you go into activities and this is where you can type any activity and you'll be able to find the activity related to string manipulation. So for example, if I go with add or subtract from date, it is as simple as that I select the date and it's a date picker. So it's even easier to select the date. By default, it takes 12 a.m. as the time, but you can change it. And then you can either add or you can subtract. And then you can mention that you want to add days to it, weeks to it, months to it, years to it. And then what's the, like 2 days from now or 5 years from now or 4 weeks from now. And then you can get the output in a variable, which is called date from today. And then we can just print it and see what the date is. And also in the preview also you can see. So if I say that, okay, from 10th, I want to add 2 days. So it becomes 12th. So you can see that in preview as well, and you can store it in a variable as well. Now talking about replacing the text. So say, for example, I do have a variable created here, which is called example text. And what is the value here? It says, welcome to Associate Developer Series 2025. Now, if I want to replace 2025 with 2026, let's see, how do we replace it? So the text, so we have just put a simple printing statement, which says the text before replacement is, and here what I would see is 2025. And then I'm using find and replace, which is example text. I'm looking for 2025, replacing it with 2026, and then printing the same thing again, that this is my replace text, okay? And I'm storing it in replace text. So this is one way of replacing. The other way of replacing is that if I don't want to use this find and replace activity, so I can also write something like example text dot replace, which is this. So if you also, okay, let me show this thing as well. So when you do dot and you type replace and then click on it, this would also tell you what you really need to provide. So it says old value as string, comma, new value as string. And if you want to ignore the case, then you provide that as true or false. If you want to ignore case, say true. If you don't want to ignore case, say false. So I'll say replace and I'll say replace welcome with something like test, and I'll say okay. So now what this would do is that in my this thing, welcome to Associate Developer Series, welcome would be replaced by test, okay? But then let me also print this thing, or let me take an assign statement and replace this text and then store it in example text. And then let's print the example text and see. Okay, now let me just run this. Let's go through it one step at a time and see what the output is. Okay, so first up we have changing the dates. Okay, so once we go into it, dates, I am storing it in a variable called, let's see from here, date from today, right? And if we look date from today, you can see here it's 12th of Feb. Now the text before replacement is this. Welcome to Associate Developer Series. Output is here on the screen on the left-hand side. So you can see, let me just pull this more so you can see. The text before replacement is Welcome to Associate Developer Series 2025. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace 2025 with 2026 is what I've done here, right? So if I go step into and then I print this, so it says 2026. Now, one way, as I said, is to like do it via drag and drop activity or directly use the functions. So if I directly use the function, then welcome is replaced by test over here, right? So this is how you have the option to use either of it. So whichever is more comfortable, you can go ahead using that particular method. Now to have a look at some other functions, let's jump on to other slide. So splitting the text, again, splitting the text, you can either use the activity or you can directly use the function. So for example, if I see here, I have a text, this is a sample, and then I have a colon, and then I have string to split. Now I can split it on basis of colon is what I have done here, right? And in the output, you have option to save only the first extracted text or all of the text, okay? So if I have to save all of the text and I say all text, Control K is the shortcut to create variables, and that's what I've done. All text. So if I go at the variable pane, I already have all text created here. So now this is going to split the string wherever the colon is, and it's going to split. So if I have 3, 4 colons in my string, it's going to like split it into 1, 2, 3, 4 parts and so on. So that's one way of splitting. And this is another way of splitting using the functions, which is sample. Yes, please. You have a question? Okay. Yeah, so you do variable dot split function. You mention what you want to split on, and then you put a C because you're putting a delimiter. And then 0 says that give me the first portion of the split. If you do 1, then it's going to give you the second portion of the split. If you do 2, then it's going to give you third portion of the split. So this gives me the first portion of the split. So this is another way to extract it. Now let's just run it and see. So splitting the text on colon, and if I go in, so first text is, this is a sample, but there's also all text. So if we look at it, then this is going to contain all the strings. So this is first portion, this is second portion. If I have more, I'll be able to see all the portions. So this sits at 0 index, this sits at 1 index, because indexing would always start from 0. And then I'm going to perform the same thing using functions, again stressing the point that you can do it both the ways, whichever way you're comfortable. Now this is again splitting it, but using function. So the output should be the same, which is this is a sample. So this is how you can use the split functions. And for majority of the operations that we do using string manipulation, you have the option to either just simply drag and drop or write the functions. Now this is concatenating. So if I am concatenating 3 things, automate, let me just maximize it. Yeah. So 1 string, 2 string, 3 string, I can give more string as well. And then it would just add up all of them, which is concatenating all. Then this is contains. So I'm saying that if this variable of mine contains the word demo or no. Now, if we look at the string, it says this is a demo of string manipulation. But the thing to notice here is over here, I've given it in lowercase, and over there, I've given it in uppercase. So the answer to this would be false, because it is going to also check the case, that if it's uppercase or lowercase. And then I'm printing it here. So technically, this should be coming as false. Now, this is substring, in which I am saying that start from 0 and go up until 5 and extract the string. What does this mean is test example, okay? So I'm just going to copy this to showcase how does the substring works. So for example, let me copy this here to explain a bit. So this is my string, okay? And now I'm saying start from 0, which means T is the 0th letter, and I have to go up until 5. So it also becomes my first letter. So THIS, which means this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then space, which is my 5th letter. So it would extract this much. If I want up until, say, is, then it has to be 5. The space would be 5. I would be 6, and S would be 7. So then it should be 0, 7. Okay. So that's how the substring works. You give 0, which is the first index. But if you don't want to start from 0, say, for example, I want to start from, say, 5th letter and then go up until 5. So let's see the output. Okay. So I'm going to start with this. So first up, we have the concatenation, which is like just joining the strings. So this is the output, and it's not taking into consideration any space because we don't have space. If we want to include space, we can include space when we are concatenating the strings. Now contains, as I said, right, there is a difference in the casing of what the variable contains and what we are asking to look for. So the answer to this would then be false. So you can see it's false. Then we have substring, and we have given 5, 7. Okay, so if I go in and I point or print my substring, So it comes to is and the, and it's like 5 letters. So if we look here, I is 1, S is 2, space is 3, T is 4, and H is 5. So this is the 5 length. If I want it more, then I can increase the length even more. So these are some of the common string operations that you would encounter. There are more to explore, and I would suggest that I would strongly suggest that you go through the self-paced learning and then try to use all of the activities that are given at least once to get to know what the syntax is, how the activities work, so that you're more comfortable using it into your project once you start the project. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen here and pass it over to Preeti to walk through rest of the data manipulation. And I would be available in the chat to answer your questions.
Um, Thank you, Anmol. I think it was a great session and I enjoyed every bit of it.
Thanks.
Let's move on to the data manipulation with lists and strings. So lists and dictionaries. Let me share my screen. Okay. So I'll be discussing about how we are going to handle lists and dictionaries in UiPath Studio and why and where we are going to use lists or dictionaries. So basically, collections is nothing but it's a data structure where we can hold items of either same type or different types. So we have discussed about arrays already, like in the last session. So they are fixed size and we can store predefined values. Basically, we cannot add or remove values from the array. We can just uh, change the values, in the sense the whole array as such. So the next is list. So in case we have to store different values and same type of values, but we don't know the length. Like suppose you get a list of like say 100 emails in your inbox and you want to find or save the sender IDs of all the emails. So you can make it as a list, and it also has like a lot of other advantages, like say suppose if you're going to do some folder manipulation. So if you want to get a list of all the files which are present in the folder, so we don't know how many files are there in a particular folder, right? So we know it only during runtime, so it can be copied as a list. And we also can have different manipulations like adding data to the list, removing data from the list. So there are different manipulations which can be done in the list, and we can also insert data. So the next which we'll be talking about is dictionaries. So you can consider dictionary as a key value pair where the key is a unique, and value it can change. So it can either be same data type as key or it can be a different data type as well. So wherever you need a fast lookup, right? That time the dictionaries are really useful. Say for example, in real time, if you consider like you have to map currency code with a country. So we can have it as a dictionary. And if suppose we have some response codes like for our error response codes, or whether it's success or failure. So we can have a say code 1 as success, code 2 as failure. So we can map it. The main important thing here is the key should be unique. Okay. So if you add a same key again, it will just change the value. So it will remove the old value and it will uh, take in the new value. So next, we'll also see about the data tables, where we store the data in rows and columns. Like basically, if you consider an Excel spreadsheet, so if we just read from the spreadsheet, how it will be like rows and columns, right? And each and every data in the table will be given by the indexes. So 0, comma 0 will be the first row and first column. So for all the things, the index starts with 0. So mainly data table is very useful, and we use a lot of things in real time. Like whenever you need to do some transaction related processing, like RE framework, in RE framework with queues, and whenever there is a need for Excel manipulation or reconciliation or comparison of two Excels, or if you have to get a query from the data table. If you query a database, you get the results in the form of a data table. And in case you need to scrap the data from a table in the web table, so that also you get it in the form of a data table. So these lists, dictionaries, and data tables are quite important, all these data structures. So there are a lot of activities which can be used on lists, and I'll show you the demo as well. But on a high level, let me discuss what the activities are there. So build collection, we can create a collection of same data type, and append items to collection. We can add a new item to the collection. And then if we have to find whether a particular element exists in the list, then we can use exists in collection. So in case you want to merge or combine more than one list, we have an activity called as merge collection. And we can also filter the list or the collection based on some specific conditions. Okay. And we can also remove from the collection at a particular from a particular location. Also, we can remove the item from the collection. And we can also, if we have a list, right, we can convert it to as a one column data table. So we can convert a collection to a data table as well. So with respect to dictionaries, as I already said, it is a key value pair. So where key is unique. So we have few manipulations with respect to dictionaries where we can add item to a dictionary or remove a particular key. So because it's a key value pair, so whenever we remove a key, the value is also automatically removed. So it will remove the whole key value pair. So sometimes we might need to retrieve the values from the dictionary, right? Most of the times. So based on the key, we need to retrieve the value from the dictionary. So for that, we use variable name dot item key. And if we need to find the length or the total number of elements in the dictionary, we can use the count. And in case there is we need to search for a particular key, check whether a particular key is present or not, then we use the contains key. All these functions can be used directly on the variable name. And if we reassign a key value pair, then automatically it means the new value will be set to the key because the keys are unique. Okay, so now let me move on to the demo. So I have a first let us see about the list, and then we'll see about the dictionaries, and then we'll see about the data tables. We'll go back to the presentation, and then we'll see about the data tables as well. Okay, so let me create a new sequence so that it will be easier for me to explain. So first, I'm going to create a variable using the data manager of type list. So let me just give it as my list 1. So here we need to select the data type. So you have to go for the browse for types, and you can give it as list. And if I just give a less than symbol, I'm able to see the system.collections to generic list. So list is like a class in this namespace. Okay, so I'm going to create a list of string. Okay, so once you create a variable, the first thing which you need to do is instantiation of a variable, right? So I'm just going to give it as new list of string. So this is how you instantiate a variable. It's not mandatory that you have to give a default value, but you can also give a default value like this. So I'll say from. So let me give. Okay. So this is how by default, you can add 2 items to the list. So let me now show you how, just display this list and show you. So here we are going to use string manipulation just for display. So I'm just going to use string.join. Okay, so what it does is It just joins all the elements in the list with separated by a comma. Okay. So let me run the file. So it's the items in the list are joined with the comma. Okay. So now this is one way where you can instantiate a list. There is another way to create a list. So let me just first create the list variable. So because we have already selected, I'm just using the same data type. So instantiation. But here I'm not going to give the default values. So I'm just going to give, say, build collection. Okay, so here I'm going to give the item as, say, yes, so I'm just saving the collection in my list too. Okay, so now let me again use the same. So the second list is mentioned here. So now let's see how to merge two lists. So we have something called as merge collection, right? So I give the collection 1. And the collection 2. And I store it in, okay, so I need to create this list. Because you are already assigning it, it's not mandatory that you have to use the instantiation here, but it's a good practice, so I'm using it. So I'm just going to I think, sorry, merged collection. So this is the second list, and now we have all the merged list together. So now let me try to add a particular item to the list. So there are different ways to add items to the list. So one is, say, append items to the collection. So I give the collection name. I'll give the merged collection. And you can open the collection builder and add. So let me add some other thing. And I can add more elements as well in one slot. Okay. So now two more items are being added. So we will get to know the merged collection here. So then I will also do a sorting. So sorting, there are like a lot of ways to do it. So one way I'll try to use invoke code. Okay. So I'll first give the arguments. So where I have my list, which is going to be inside the code. The type is going to be system.string. And this is like merged collection. I'm going to pass the merged collection. So here I'm going to add mylist dot. So what we are going to do, sort, right? So this will sort in ascending order. So we have something called as link queries, which can be used. It's like little advanced. And then we can also sort it in ascending or descending order. And there is one more way we can do it in descending order by reversing the list after sorting it. So that can also be done. So we have the merged collection. Now we have added two more things, right? So two more items are added. And now it's running the invoke code. So it's going to sort it in ascending order. Okay, so if you have to sort it again in descending order, we can add one more, which is mylist dot, sorry, I think it's reverse. Okay, so this will add it, this will make it in descending order. Okay, so now I am going to use the next thing which I can show you is how to remove a particular item from the list. Okay, so here I'm just going to remove. So let me remove apple from the list. Okay, and there is one more option, dot remove. So we can either remove all, everything will be removed, or we can remove an element at one particular index. So after removing apple, we'll remove the first index. Okay, if you remember, the index starts at 0. So accordingly, we need to check whether it's removing the item correctly. Okay, so again, okay, so let me run this. So this is ascending. Okay, I think this is the added one, merged list. We did the add items to collection, right? So now two items have also been added. Okay, so now what happened was the apple was removed and the first item um, is also removed. So let me run it once again. I think there were a lot of message boxes, so it might be confusing. So we are getting this message box. The first message box will be the collection in descending order, and then we are removing the apple and the first index. Okay, so let me run it now. So this is descending order. So after removing apple, um, the first index is going to be 0, 1, which is mango. So the mango and apple will be removed. Okay, so this is how the remove elements from collection also works. Let me just check if I have missed something. Build exists. Okay, I have to do exists and merge collection. Okay, let me just do that. So here, let me check whether a particular element exists or not. Okay, I'm removing this. So I have not, I have commented this, so I'm not removing anything from the merged list. So I'm just checking if I have the item, apple. We can also get which is the item index of that item. So I'll just display string. Okay, so this will say whether the apple exists or not, and what is the item. So if because it exists, the item index will also be displayed. Otherwise, I think the item index will be displayed as -1. So let's also check that. So it's true, and the element, the item is in the 5th position. Okay, so now let me make this. So it's false and it's -1. Okay, so when we discuss about data tables, I can show you generate how it is converted to data table. So let me move on to the dictionaries. So same way, dictionaries we can create it. We can select the data type like this. So again, it's part of system.collections or generic namespace, and we consider dictionary as a class. So the first one is going to be the key, and the second one is going to be the value. So we are giving the key value pair here. Okay, and this is how you need to instantiate a dictionary. Okay. So we'll do it as new dictionary of string, comma string. Okay. So now I'll show you how to set the value. So um, we can give like this. Because of time, I'm just using the demo already created. So from we can give the first element. Okay, first will be the key and next will be the value. Same way, this is the second element and this is going to be the key and this is going to be the value. The email ID is the key and this is going to be the value. Okay. So now there are different ways to add the key value pair. Okay. So first we can just assign a key value pair. So first we use the key here on the left side. Okay, left side of the assign. My dictionary of this is the key. Okay, and then this is going to be the value, which is the employee name, which I have given it here. And same way, I am adding another key and value. Okay, and we can also add a new key value pair using the code. Okay, so we can give my dictionary dot add and we can give the key comma the value. Okay, so this is how it is. So now I can display. I'll just display it and show you how it is saved. So first, we have the first two things, which is E1 and E2. The first thing which I have added here. Okay. In my dictionary one, and then I'm adding new key value pair, which is these three with two assigned statements and one invoke code. So we have all the things here. Okay. So now next we'll see some manipulations. Okay. So how to reassign new values to the existing. So if we can just reassign it simply by using the same key. So now the employee name will be reassigned for this particular key. Okay. And now again, I'm trying to display it. Okay. And if we have to extra display a particular value, get a particular value, we can use this, which is item. Okay. So we give the key here. So my dictionary.item of the key will give you the value associated with the key. Okay. So next is to check whether the key is present in the dictionary. Okay, so if the key is present in the dictionary, it's going to give the output, whether true or false. I'm directly giving it as the message box so that it's easy for me. And then this is the length of the dictionary, which is the count. Okay. And we can also remove the element from the dictionary by using invoke codes, much similar to the list. Okay. So let me execute it so that we will know. Okay. So it's invoke code. Okay, first it has completed these things. The my dictionary it has. Okay, let me just go back and do it again. Sorry, I forgot to add the breakpoint. Okay, so first the my dictionary. This is done. So it assigns the new key value pair. The second one, the third one. And we are just going to display it. So the first value is displayed. The second value. So the third value. So all these values are displayed here. I'll run it. Okay, so now this is specific to just a second. So I have modified the employee 3, right? So that is the message box. Okay. One second. Let me run it. That's easier for me. Okay, so let me check where the first message box is. So the my dictionary log message. Okay, so it's going to display the employee 3, whichever is associated with employee 3, it's displaying here. Then it's going to display whether the key is present in the dictionary or not. So this is present in the dictionary. And then it's going to display the length of the dictionary. Okay. And now it's going to remove the element from the dictionary. Okay. And then it's going to display. So all these things are present in the output panel. So if you see first, we have all the display. Now after modifying the name to Peter, so it's displaying Peter here. And then after removing the key employee 1, we are getting only 4 values here. So that's about the dictionaries. So next, let me explain about the data tables. Okay. So basically, data table is a variable which can store data in tabular format, rows and columns, and we can identify, say, each piece of each data by a row index and column index. And rows and columns of a data table starts with 0. Okay, so most of the common actions with data tables are we can loop through the data, we can filter the data, we can add or modify the data, and we can also sort the data. So we can do a lot of manipulations. So let me show you the demo here. So I'll create a new sequence. Okay, so if you see, I have a student data Excel here. So the most easiest way to create a data table is whenever we read the data from an Excel, it's converted to a data table. So I'm going to do that now. So this is the sheet name, which I'm going to read. Okay, so I'm going to save it in a data table. We can use a Control K. Okay. So like you have for a collection, right? I think you were introduced to this as well last session. So for each row in a data table. So this is specific to a data table. So I can loop through each and every row in the data table. Okay. So I'll just give a. So here again, I'm going to use a string.join so that I can display the whole array, whole row. So there is something called as item array. So this will display the whole row here. As the current row dot item array is a collection, so we can just join it and then we can see what is present in the whole row. Okay. And another way of we can convert the data table to a string by using output data table as text. Okay, so this we can use it to display the complete data table. Okay, so let me first run this part. So first, we are using a for each row data table, and it's displaying the rows one by one. And then this is the we convert the data table to a string, and we are using it. Okay. So now if you have to access just the student 2, okay, we need to make sure we give it as 0. This is a 0 row, first row, second row, and third row, and 0 column, first column, and second column. So if I give 1 comma 1, the student 2 will be displayed. So how am I going to access one particular element? I can just give something like this. Okay, so I give the data table name. Okay, so rows of the first row and the first column value, right? And it's going to be an object, so it's always, we have to change it as a toString. Okay. So we are able to access the one element of a particular data table. Okay. So next, we'll see how to merge two data tables. So for that, I'm going to read again a new student data. So I have a new student data sheet. Okay, so I'm just going to do a rearrange workbook again. So this time the sheet name is this. And the data table. Okay, so I'm saving it here. So here I'm going to use merge data table. Okay. So in merge data table, the source is going to be the first data table, which is student DT. And the destination is going to be the new student DT. Okay. So the first data table is going to be added to the new student data table. Okay. And we are going, if there is any missing schema, it will add the missing schema as well. Okay. So we can choose to ignore the schema or add with the key as well. But now I'm just going to do the add with schema because we have the same schema here. And then I'll do a right range workbook just to check whether it's merged correctly. Okay. So of course, you will learn more about the Excel activities later, but I'm just using a simple activities here. So now the merged value is going to be in new student DT. So I'm going to write it back to a new data sheet. Okay, so let's then open the Excel and check whether it is merged. Okay, so now let me open the Excel. So we have a merged data where the student name is, the new student data is there, and then the old student data is added here. So there is one check which I didn't do it, which is add headers. So that's why we are not able to see the header. So if I check this, it will work fine. Okay, so we'll again try to do the other things, and then when we look at the output, we'll be able to see with the headers. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you how to use join. Okay, it's almost similar to the SQL, but here it's easier way to do it. Okay, so just give me a second. So if you see here, there is a student data, and then there is a book table. Okay, so the new student data has all the things, right? So what happens is there are three types of joins. First is inner join. Okay, so if you go for inner join, So here you have student data. So we have student ID and here, so for some students, there are books, right? So whichever, there is a common row, right? So whichever is matching, the matching rows alone will be joined. Okay, that will be displayed in the join DT. Okay, so then if we go for a left join, okay, so inner join list just gives the matching rows. If we go for left join, so if this is going to be the first data table and we are going to use this as a second data table and join it, then what we get is we get all the rows which are present here, okay, and along with that we get the matched rows as well. Okay, so now if you see here, we have 2, 4, 3, 1. Okay, everything is there. So I'll give a extra one here, which is, so I'll give 5, 6. Okay, but we don't have student 5 and student 6 in the book data table. Okay, so we'll see how the different types of join looks like now. So again, I need to read it from the book sheet. Okay. So here I do a rearrange workbook. And I'm going to save it in a book data table. Okay. So now I'm going to use join data tables. So here we have the join wizard. The first input data table is going to be the student DT. Okay, and the second data table is going to be book DT. Okay, and output, I'm just going to create a new data table, join DT. Okay, so now I'm going to add, see, in column table 1, we have student ID as the as the column name, right? So let's just cross verify the column name. It's very important. Otherwise, we won't get the correct value. So in the first sheet, we have student space ID. Okay, it's important you give that correctly.
T is missing.
So, sorry?
T is missing in the column name. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. And if you go for the book, there is no space here. So okay, we are going to check whether if the column names are same, based on that, we are going to do the inner join. Okay. So let's use output data table as text. So we have the joined DT. Not sure what is happening. Sorry if I'm trying to do something.
I have a question here. So even if
Yeah.
like there is space in the name of the column, so
Mhm.
UiPath will not consider the space and it will consider both the name of the columns as same.
It will give an error because you don't have the particular column there in
Yeah.
the data table, right? So the column name is wrong. It's not there in the data table. So it will throw an error.
Yes.
Okay, so now I think we have done everything. So I'll close this. So I have used an inner join here. So we in real time we use these filter data table, join data table, everything. So if you see here, only those rows which are matched, like where the student ID matches, only those rows are being joined here, okay, in the new data table. So now let's try to do the left join, okay. So left join, it will include all the rows which are there in the student DT. That is, first it will include the match rows, and then it will include all the rows which are there in the student data table, and then finally it will um, actually take the blank values. If it's not there, right, in the second table, it will make it as blank. Okay, let's see how it works. I just have one more after this, which is sort data table, and then I think we are good. Okay. Okay, sorry, I think I did some mistake. So if you see here, first we are getting all the matched rows, okay? And from the left data table, that is the first data table, the student, we are getting the unmatched rows as well. And the extra columns which are being added, right? So those are made as blank. Okay, so that is how the left join works. Now let us see the full join. So it will basically take the rows from both the data tables, and whichever it's not present, it will take it as blank, null value. If the column is not present in another data table, then it will take it as null value. So if you see here, first it gives the matched rows, and then it gives the the first data table. From the data table, it gives the rows which are extra and which are not matched, and rest it gives us 0. And then it takes the data table, the second data table, and it gives the unmatched rows, and it makes the other values as null. Okay, so this is about join data tables. So now let's see how we can get the filter data table. That's also very important. So here, just let's filter it based on, say, if it's student data, let us filter it based on the course. Okay, let's see whether the course is Selenium, and then it will display only those things. Okay, so data table is, we have the student DT. So the column is course. We can also give the column numbers. So this will be column number 2. Okay. So we have different options. So for this, equal to, this is the best option. So I'm giving this. And here as well, there are few things. So you can either keep the matching rows, or you can remove the matching rows from the output table. Okay. And you can also display only few columns. So if you see, you can keep few columns or you can remove few columns. So now it's like course column, right? So let's just have columns 1 and 2. There is second and third column. So I will remove the first column. So it will display only the second and third column. So I'm just doing that, and rows I'm equating it to Selenium. Okay, and the data table I'm giving it. Okay. Yeah. Now let me. So now if you see only the second and third column is displayed, the first column is not displayed, and we have only based on the filter, we have it here. Okay. So that's about filter data table. Then I have the sort data table, which is the last part. So I'll just do this sort data table. Okay, and so I'll give student DT and I'll sort it based on the column index, first column index. Okay, or maybe it's already sorted based on the first column index. So I'll sort it based on the um, course name. Okay. So here we can sort it only based on one column using the sort data table, but you can use link queries, which is little advanced data table manipulation. And using that, you can sort it based on more than one column as well. Okay, so you can either give it the name or the index, or if you have it in the form of a data column variable, you can give the data column variable here. Okay, so here the order, we can sort it as ascending or descending order. Okay, so I'll sort the data table and I save it as, like, let me give the same call, same name. Okay, I don't want to create a variable again. So we have sorted the data table and I'm just giving the same data table name here as output. So you will get the sorted output there. Okay. So if you see, it is sorted based on the course. Okay. Because this is already sorted, I have sorted it based on the course. Okay, so that is about sort data table. I'll just take 2 more minutes. So where I can show you, there is something called as an add data column where we can add an extra column. And there is something called as an add data row where we can add an extra row to the data table. Okay, so that's about it. And I think I have covered everything. One more thing is build data table, which I can show. So here we can build the data table based on our own schema. Okay, so you can give the column name, say number 1, and you can give it integer. Okay, and you can change this column name to, say, number 2, and you can also add the rows here if you want, but ideally we don't do this because it's like almost like hard coding, right? So we don't do this, but this is one way of building the data table. The thing is, if you know the schema beforehand, right, for reporting purposes, right, you have a output schema which is already there. So then we can build the data table in the initialization state itself, and then we can use it. Okay, so I think I have covered almost everything. So
Yeah,
I'm
Preeti,
open for questions.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
a couple of questions. One
Okay.
is it possible to connect directly to the database and work on the tables and use all the data table functions?
Yes, yes. When you there are options to connect UiPath to a database. So you need the connection string and other things. So you can connect to the database, and there are some database related activities as well. Using that, you can query a particular table in the database. The result of the query will be saved as a data table. Okay. So and that you can use it. You can manipulate it and use it. So is there any
Great.
more questions?
Another question, is it possible to share the XAML and
XAML file.
XAML file?
XAML
We can,
files.
yeah.
Yes, we can share it.
So I don't know if you could just share that in chat. That would be helpful.
Yeah, sure.
Great session. Just so everybody knows, I saw a couple questions too on just all the things we're covering. Obviously, we can't cover everything in an hour and a half, so our goal is to cover as much as we can on the hot topics. You know, some of this you're going to have to do on your own. You're going to have to do it through the self-paced training that you take. And then if you have any questions about material not covered, please just put it on the forum and we'll work with you there. Just because there's no way we can cover every single thing in every lesson. So that's just how we're doing this. And again, we have all these experts, so don't feel free to like ask on the forum any questions that you do have. Great job today, you guys. Thank you so much, everybody on the call, Preeti and Mal, and then Lagesh and Ravathi. I saw you answer a whole bunch of questions in the background too. So amazing job. Thank you, everybody, for attending today. And don't forget to come back on Monday of next week. We'll have some more for you. And just appreciate all the questions and participation that you guys are clearly showing that you're interested in these topics, and that's awesome. So enjoy your weekend and we'll see you next week. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you all.
Uh-huh.
Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias.